Cal Poly, 8th in the conference in assists per game, averaging 12. And there's your look at Coach Russell Turner in his 11th year. For the number 2 seed, UC Irvine Anteaters. You can bet they're the heavy favorites in this one. Brad Greene gets the tip for UCI.
And I think size is the big difference here. UC Irvine has 2 giants. They go 3 around 2. Cal Poly's a bit smaller. They like to go 4 around 1 and really look to catch and drive the ball downhill by spacing the floor.
Velp at the top of the key to Baker, the freshman of the year, drives inside to Brad Greene, gets it stolen away. There's a steal for Cal Poly, and this is Keith Smith bringing it up.
They're playing with a lot of confidence right now, and that's dangerous for UC Irvine.
Ali Mami Koroma with his first attempt, couldn't draw iron. Back the other way comes Lee. Right to Brad Greene, easy land, no good, rims out.
The big fella really running the floor. That's a great sign for UC Irvine fans. This UC Irvine team was loud, excited during warm-ups, pumped up to try to defend their 2019 Big West Tournament title.
It would be the first time in their program's history where they would repeat as tournament champions. Of course, didn't get that chance last year.
They won that game in 2019 against Cal State Fullerton by 28 points.
Shot short by Colby Rogers. Did draw iron, so it wasn't a shot clock violation. This is Jerron Artest with the ball for the Anteaters. Baker to Lee inside of Brad Greene. Big Brad Greene going up against Koroma. Double team. They go across to Artest for 3. Oh, almost a shooter's touch there.
Yeah, as you're seeing already, UC Irvine's going to pump inside. They're going to go inside out, and you're already seeing the Mustangs are going to look to trap anytime the ball goes inside the green.
Held ball. Possession arrow pointing to UCI. Or I should say Cal Poly.
Well, Cal Poly coming off a game where they were 56% from the field. Those 12 three-pointers, wasn't that just crazy? You and I worked that game. They were 12 of 18 from 3. It was a sight to be seen. 5 guys in double figures. It was a phenomenal effort by Cal Poly. And like we said in the open, they didn't look like a 10 seed. They didn't look like a 10 seed at all in that game. They looked like an upper half team.
Yeah, for a team that was averaging at 60 points a game during the regular season, to get 87, just all of a sudden, by the way.
And for their scoring average on the season to go up 2 points per game in one game in the tournament.
Velp. Oh, that's a good mid-range shot.
He's pretty, man. That is pretty. He's got great touch. He's been knocking down shots from all over the court. His versatility is fantastic.
Well, we've seen the redshirt junior Colin Velp a lot during his tenure with UC Irvine as Greene gets the steal. Back the other way come the Anteaters. They really like to run their offense through their bigs. It's Baker. That's why he's the freshman of the year. Too easy for him.
I've said it 4 times already in the previous 2 games today. The shot fake, the most underused fundamental in basketball. You saw what it did for Baker.
Baker averaging over 10 points a game and just under 50% from the field in the regular season.
So, here it is right here. Look, little shot fake action. Gets the defender curl up in the air. And then one bounce and knocks it down. Man, they're playing a lot faster in there, aren't they? Replay.
Well, here's Tuka Yakala. Had 10 points in the last game. This is Rogers. Short from 3. There's Riley Till fighting for the rebound. Inside to Yakala for the slam.
That's impressive. Brad Greene was right there with the ability to contest that shot at 6'11". Riley Till had no fear. Well, I'm sorry, that was Yakala.
The confidence, the lack of fear, as you said, probably going to be very much needed for Cal Poly to pull off this upset. Colin Velp, fatal way too.
I'm telling you, I mean, he had to adjust this season to being the target on this team. He had to really adjust because he came off the bench a year ago as the best 6th player in the league. And this year, come back as the leading returning scorer. And everybody gunning for him. A lot of people thought he might be player of the year.
Count it, and 1, Isaiah Lee. the 6'3" sophomore from Sydney, Australia.
The speed down the floor. Here it is right here. Just pick up the ball and go. Isaiah Lead, the point guard, taking the contact and finishing strong. This lefty has dual citizenship. Australia, United States. He was a starting point guard for the Aussie U19 team recently.
UC Irvine missed their first 2 shots of this game and haven't missed since. Going 4 of 6. Up by 6, and Cal Poly struggling from the field, 1 of 6 so far.
Well, they're playing against a team in UC Irvine that is much bigger in most positions than Cal State Fullerton, especially in the front court. More specifically, they've got to find a way to score points. 3-point ball was dropping for them in the game on Tuesday. Right now, they're 0 for 2.
Velp for 3. Off the mark. Brantley Stevenson getting the ball and bringing it up himself. Kicked ball out of bounds, and it'll go to Cal Poly. First time out.
Those 18 points, all of 16 minutes. He really filled it up, and but they're going to need some more of that. He was knocking down some threes, and they've got to find ways to score against this excellent defensive team of UC Irvine.
It was their first Big West postseason win since they won it all in that magical run in 2014. Karoma inside. Fight for the offensive rebound. Tipped out of bounds off the Anteaters.
See, and that just shows me, look, that's a terrific move by Karoma. That's a veteran move. It's an up and under, a little fake to get the defender in the air. You go around him and you finish. But he missed, and he missed badly. Why? I think he's worried about the length of UC Irvine's defender.
Keith Smith. Talk about veteran leadership. That's Keith Smith for Cal Poly, the 6-foot senior. The nephew of the head coach, John Smith.
Oh.
This is J.C. Butler in the game. Gave it off to DJ Davis. Both a couple of new entries for UC Irvine. Dawson Baker, fadeaway. Is that a 3? My goodness.
Very impressive. Be able to shoot off the bounce with the hand in your face. Off balance.
Rogers. Mid-range jumper well short. Rogers is struggling to start. That's 0 for 3 now for him.
You're going to keep pumping inside.
Austin Johnson spins. Hook shot. No good. Shimunga fighting for the rebound. Gets it poked away. Stevenson grabs it and he's fouled.
So UC Irvine being known to be a great defensive team. They lead the league in field goal percentage defense, also in blocks. Second in steals per game, second in scoring defense. They're also 1-2 also in rebounds per game and rebound margin. The building blocks of UC Irvine basketball has always been defense and rebounding, and they've always had a ton of size. And it has served them extremely well in the Russell Turner era.
And the Anteaters have reached the finals of the Big West tournament 5 out of the last 7 seasons. Karoma gets that bucket to go. Davis with the mid-range jumper. DJ Davis, 6-foot freshman, Riverside Poly High School.
He's got a big-time future. Big upside, natural scorer, creator. They like what they see in him.
Well, you know what Davis said at the start of the year? He said, a goal for me is to be the Big West Freshman of the Year. And now it happened to be his teammate, Dawson Baker, but they both have been playing well for UC Irvine.
He wasn't far behind, statistically.
Andre Henry is in the game for the Anteaters as well. All players off the bench out there for the Anteaters, and a good move and a bucket.
Just from being around the game on a regular basis. Look, my parents, the most athletic thing they ever did was play canasta and cards with family. So I didn't have the luxury of learning from my parents, but somebody who has parents involved, man, you have such an advantage by the time you become a college basketball player.
Well, you've got a number of these players on UCI. J.C. Butler, Jerron Artest, Colin Velp, among others that are sons of parents that played at a high level, college or NBA.
I think Russell Turner uses a lot of his connections. You know, he coached in the NBA, coached at a high level of college basketball. Oh, my gosh.
You know, that one, it helps that the microphone is right under the basket because Austin Johnson just yelled right into it. Watch the levels on that.
Oh, my goodness. That came out of nowhere, completely unexpected. And Tajay Moore of CSU Bakersfield had a big jam earlier today. And then there's this one right here in traffic. He could care less how many jerseys are around him from the other team. Made 8 of their last 10 field goals. 6-0 run for UC Irvine.
11-point lead, and Karoma cuts it down to 9.
So obviously, Cal Poly's not getting the same spark from behind the arc like they did a couple of games ago. But they've got to find other ways to score. This could get out of hand really quickly. UC Irvine usually, if they get a big lead, they tend to hold on to it, even with this younger group that they have.
Here comes Sanders inside to Till. Gets blocked by Johnson.
Shows you how great a weapon he is on both ends. Finishes strong. Now here he is posting up on Karoma. Karoma got in foul trouble last game. There's that double team.
Inside, and what a and one bucket opportunity. Our family during these times. We will get through this. We will come out better on the other end. 20-9, UC Irvine as Davis completes the three-point play.
Well, the big difference here is simply making baskets. 64% for Irvine, 25% from the field is Cal Poly. A far cry from their 56% just a couple of nights ago. I really think this Irvine length is bothering them.
Karoma really does seem bothered under there and does get the foul call this time, but it was kind of a bailout for him.
Yeah, I have to see that replay back on that one. But the thing is, though, Cal Poly, when they're sharing the ball offensively, they have a lot of balance. See right here. All right. Oh, yeah, that's a legit call. Yeah, Austin Johnson got a bit of his forearm on the shoulder of Karoma.
I mean, kind of a look of frustration from Karoma already in the first half.
I think the score could frustrate them. You know, they're not making shots. They're getting good looks. They're not making them. And he's part of that.
Colby Rogers doesn't get that one to go.
Yeah, these are the shots that were dropping in their first game.
1 for 5 from beyond the arc. Just a staunch difference from last game. Velp for 3. UCI is hitting from beyond the arc.
How would you like to have a 6'9" big man that shoots nearly 40% from behind the arc?
And there's Velp with the steal. Back the other way, gets the foul.
You know, he has gotten more athletic from last year to this year. He's running the floor faster. You know, I early on there was talk that he wanted to kind of prove his worth after kind of accepting the off-the-bench role a season ago. He's the team co-captain. You know what he can do. He's so skilled outside, but he's able to do some things in and around the paint as well.
First team all Big West this year and last. 6th in the conference in points per game.
And he's just become much more complete as a player, and it's fascinating that he's been able to do that. They say his favorite place on campus is the UC Irvine basketball practice gym. Well, due to COVID, there's been no access to it, at least in the early going of the season. So all off season, unable to get in there. So kind of like we heard from the UC Davis players just a game ago, a lot of these players had to just go outside. Thank God we're in California, right?
Richie, if you go back to when you were playing and you had a season like this where you weren't even allowed to go to the practice gym and get your reps in, I mean, what does that do to your psyche?
Well, there's the whole mental health thing everybody talks about. you know, and a lot of it's just when you're a college basketball player, you're not there. You're not there just because you want to get a scholarship. You're there because you love the game. And it's extremely difficult to have something taken away from you that you absolutely love, that you've sacrificed so much for. And a lot of these players struggle with that all across the country, all across the world. Look, I got friends down in the island of Barbados. I'm connected with the Barbados basketball organization, the national organization. It's 52 weeks this week since they called off their leagues. They haven't had any leagues in a year. In a year. And the basketball players down there are going crazy. Not just basketball, every sport. Very difficult for these young men and women.
Just confirms the fact that this is a privilege to be able to cover the Big West Championships and to be able to play if you're a player this year. It's taken away from them last year as a steal down low into the hands of Justin Hong. Good dive on the floor. Keith Smith, the senior, showing effort, but the Anteaters still possess. Greene got down and rolled the ball over. Effort on both sides shown. Just that Colin Velth. Well, the Anteaters have been able to make most of their shots. Not that one there, but it was off a Mustang and out of bounds. So the Anteaters get it baseline out of bounds.
You know, if you followed UC Irvine over the years, you know how balanced they are, how much depth. They're always rotating guys. They don't play too many minutes, each player, really. I mean, it's a good long-term strategy. Keeps them fresh. I mean, it's normal for a Russell Turner coach team to play 12, 13 guys. You know, and doing that, you know, during the course of the regular season, it might hurt you a little bit. But Russ Turner always thought that it would prepare his teams for this moment right here. Imagine when there's guys who get injured or whatever it is. 8 players on the team playing college basketball for the first time. Okay, and then on top of that, you got 4 sophomores and 1 redshirt sophomore. And you said it last time we worked together, only Navy is younger.
Oh, we asked Coach Turner what he's thought about where his team is at this year coming into the tournament, and says he likes where they are. Not as consistent because of their youth, but they've had wins against every team they've faced this year.
And they swept UC Santa Barbara. It was opening weekend. It was end of December. And there was a lot of people saying in that series that they thought, you know, UC Santa Barbara, as talented as they are and experienced, they're probably going to beat UC Irvine 1, if not 2 of those games in that series because of the young youth of UC Irvine playing together for the first time. UC Irvine handled them well, at least in one game, really well. And but now look what's happened throughout the course of the season. UC Irvine's had a few hiccups, and UC Santa Barbara just dominated throughout.
Keith Smith able to get it over to Colby Rogers. Pretty much the starters out on the floor for Cal Poly most of this game so far. Timeout.
And like I said, a big part of the reason why they're leading here, we talked about it out of the last time out before, it was 20% shooting for Cal Poly that they've been able to have them shoot, I should say.
It's a 16-2 run for them and a 10-0 run over the last 3 minutes and 23 seconds. And for more on UCI, we go to Courtney Sweet.
Well, guys, of course they have a young squad, but they do have the leadership of 2 upperclassmen who have meant so much to this program. Coach Russ Turner said it's impossible to measure what Brad Greene and Colin Velp have meant, especially how Brad has grown this year. He gets kind of emotional when he talks about Brad. When he said, look, I challenge and push Colin, and this program has been built by players who respond to that, and brought to mind to me guys like Tommy Rutherford and Jonathan Galloway. He went on to say Brad and Colin are the tone setters for us, and with so many young players, their leadership is such a positive part of the season for them, guys.
Well, speaking of Brad Greene, I mean, leads the league in blocks per game, was a defensive player of the year basically in the Big West Conference, and that follows in the footsteps as Jerron Artest hits a 3. That follows in the footsteps of guys like Jonathan Galloway, as Courtney mentioned, and Mamadou Njai, Richie.
A lot of great defenders who have come through. Will Davis II, remember him?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a machine. This program develops great defenders, a great defensive team overall, and you have some individual great performers as well. There's Ali Karoma knocking down the three-point shot.
Well, that's Karoma's first three, and that's only his third field goal overall in the game so far.
One thing that's really helped UC Irvine prepare this season to this point is that they've remained COVID-free all year long. The games that they've missed were because the opponents tested positive, not them. And I think they've, Russ Turner's always compared the series, playing 2 games in a row. It's kind of like preparing for the Big West tournament. The Friday, Saturday schedules they had all year, a lot of coaches didn't love it. But he's like, look, man, it just prepares us for the tournament. We get that same mentality. We get a head start in that mentality for it. Another one.
A little long there, and UC Irvine gets the ball back. Coach John Smith, as you see there, they come into the tourney 3-19, 1-15, so nobody really expects anything of them. And by the way, gotta mention that they wouldn't be in the tournament if it were, so to speak, a regular year, right?
Correct. Well, now that we have more teams in the conference,
right,
the Big West, I'm not so sure that this might be the format. Who knows? They've changed so much because of COVID this year. But John Smith's not going to let his guys stop fighting. They're not going to lay down. They're going to keep pushing through this. This is a difficult game for them. This might have been the most difficult matchup for them in the quarterfinals, just with size alone for UC Irvine.
Oh. Good block by Karoma. See the flashes and that potential from the young man. Till inside to Karoma. Just a mid-range jumper, and he gets it.
He's got awesome touch. I'd like to see him get a little quicker with his feet in the offseason. We talked about his wingspan in their previous game. It's
7'2".
That's amazing. And step outside. I think he'll be a much stronger player physically next year. There's your freshman of the year.
Dawson Baker, all net. He's averaging 39% from 3. Also 48% from the field overall.
I really miss Peter the Anteater, the mascot for UC Irvine.
Right.
I always thought it was cool that the Santa Ana Zoo has an anteater named Peter if you want to go check him out in person.
Really?
When it's allowed. They do.
There's Karoma banking in a 3.
And one of our esteemed crew members, Steve Chen, always likes when I tell the story about when anteaters get attacked. Now, Robbie Ray from UC Irvine Marketing tells us that when anteaters get attacked, they get into a tripodal position with their tail, and they can disembowel their attackers with large claws. Did you know that, Matt Brown?
I did not.
Steve Chen is going to be so happy that I put it out there. And Robbie Ray.
How about Peter the Anteater? You just gave us a good fact and a strong fact to say, hey, we shouldn't be really annoying him or getting him mad, riling him up.
That's a good point. But he's not here. The mascot is not here. One of the all-time best mascots in all of college sports, the Anteater.
Well, Cal Poly trying to come back in this one. Rogers making that last shot. UC Irvine kind of had that last run of 16-2 stopped, and now Cal Poly has made their last 3 shots. This is Velp. Just working on Mark Crow. Couldn't get that one to go.
The great equalizer in basketball is the 3-point shot. And Cal Poly was nailing them 2 days ago. They can get on a roll, knock down 2 or 3 threes here. Feeling pretty good getting into the halftime locker room. It's a different game in the second half.
Foul coming around the screen. That'll bring us to a timeout. Well, Cal Poly trying to come back in this one.
Certainly helped.
Well, 3 guys on the Cal Poly starting lineup have played 15 minutes, so Karoma getting some rest now. 3 minutes left to go in the first half. Kind of the question now becomes, what do you do without Koroma on the floor for Cal Poly?
Get to that big fella. Just got to make plays. Yakala had a pretty good game.
10 points last game against Cal State Fullerton.
All right.
3 rebounds as well.
Almost a travel.
Butler, I think, got blocked by Yakala. Crow leads the Big West and made 3s, and that's another one.
He's a leader. One of the team captains. Sets the example for all the other players on the team. They say he's a yes sir, no sir type player.
Man out of Dallas, Texas. 38% from 3 as well this year. And there's Crow. Playing a 2-man game with Brantley Stevenson. Reversal to Rogers. Stripped out of bounds, stays with Cal Poly.
So I'm looking at Coach Russell Turner, and he is always coaching his team. Just took out the freshman of the year, Dawson Baker, and was not happy with something that happened. I'm not sure what it was. I don't think it was the missed shot he just took, but it was something within the game. But he has so much depth. He has the luxury to keep guys disciplined, to play the right way on both ends of the floor. If he doesn't like what he sees, it can pull him out, and somebody else has had plenty of game minutes that can jump right back in there into that spot on the floor.
Good pass inside. There's Yakala with the finish from Rogers.
Seeing some signs of life now, cutting into single digits.
This all with Ali Koroma, their leading scorer, out.
Nice move.
Good rebound by Crow, though. Stevenson losing his footing, but they keep possession. Got 13 seconds left on the shot clock. For 3, it's Rogers. Gets it.
And 21 points a couple nights ago. Was 3 of 5 from behind the arc in that game.
That matched his career high. Now only 2 of 8 in this game. 1 of 4 now from beyond the arc. Belt inside to Greene. That's big to big. And how do you stop that? Just a foul.
Well, for me, I just like to see Brad Greene, or any post player for that matter, any back to the basket type post, moving away from or off the ball, moving towards the ball like a cutter, a dive. And, you know, a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, I don't think Brad Greene would have moved that fast. And we talked about the weight that he's lost, 80-plus pounds. And now he's just diving to spots, getting the basketball from his teammates. I love to see it.
Now 5th in the Big West in field goal percentage. Averages right around 10 points a game. 53% from the field. Makes that free throw there. He's a 76% free throw shooter. And from Lone Pine High School. .30 seconds to go in the first half. Rogers trying to heat up. Can't get that one to go. And boy, he's really just struggled offensively.
All right, I would imagine UC Irvine's going to hold this for the last shot, especially with Cal Poly making the run that they are. No reason to give them an opportunity to get another bucket.
Well, Richie, it's been a 13-1 run for Cal Poly. They've really come back in this one, still down 7. I mean, is this words of encouragement now from John Smith going into the locker room?
Oh, yeah. You got to win the small battles to win the war. And when you can go into the locker room saying, all right, we got down big and we chipped away. We won some battles down the stretch in that last 4 minutes. Oh, yeah, that's going to make them feel good. Getting a stop here make them feel even better.
Just a good catch there from Velp, preventing a turnover, and then turns it into a good pass, but Brad Greene can't finish, and that ends the half.
And John Smith is fired up.
Coast, and those type of events, like Midnight Madness that UC Irvine used to hold every year to really get the fans into men's basketball, just basketball in general, and you can't have that this year, and that's just something that is missing from college basketball this year. Hopefully we can have it soon.
Just like we're missing Peter the Anteater. No fans, no mascot. But hey, a turnover in the first possession. Cal Poly continue where they left off.
Well, that drive is knocked out of bounds. I think it's going to stay here with Cal Poly. So the Mustangs bring it back to within 7, and they seemed pretty hyped and pretty riled up going into the half. And Courtney Sweet caught up before the second half started with head coach John Smith.
Coach, you were fired up when you left the floor at halftime. What was the biggest difference when y'all made that run?
Just our resiliency. Our guys are continuing to fight through adversity and just trying to stay the course. And that's what I was after. I'm happy about the way they're fighting. We just got to find a way to get to the free throw line and continue to compete.
All right. Well, good luck second half. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
UC Irvine working the ball around. Thanks, Courtney, for that hit. Coach John Smith, I mean, he's really just trying to bring some energy onto his team. And there it is right there with Keith Smith with the steal.
First 2 possessions for UC Irvine. Cal Poly comes up with steals on both of them. Oh, this would be huge.
Well to the left. Karoma just off offensively this game. Really just from downtown. He's 2 of 5 from downtown. He's 5 of 11 from the floor. That's pretty good. And he is leading the team with 12 points. Set pretty much the last 4 minutes as there's a 3-ball poured in by Isaiah Lee.
They needed that. They certainly needed that. Get a little more cushion. You know they're coming out with more pressure on the ball, not allowing Cal Poly to get off open looks the way they did towards the end of the first half.
This is Crow for 3 all net.
As I say that, they're looking at me like, bruh, really? You can laugh out loud. It's okay, Matt.
2 for 4 from the field and from 3 for Crow. He's their shooting specialist. That's a 3. Baker, no good. Smith all over the court, just giving all the effort plays, some of the things that you wouldn't see on the stat sheet.
You know, I know that Isaiah Lee did not mean to foul there, but it actually worked out in favor for the Anteaters. I mean, Keith Smith getting that rebound, that was going to be a 2-on-1. That young man is so fast, so speedy down the floor.
Smith called really one of the best leaders that you can have by his uncle, head coach John Smith. And here is Keith. Working the ball around. This is Riley Till. Poked away. Jerron Artest hits the floor. Maybe an advantage for Cal Poly. Rogers inside. Gets fouled.
Got to appreciate Rogers. I think it was Rogers kicking the basket, right?
Right.
Challenging Brad Greene, who's averaging almost 2 blocks a game. He gets past his man. Could have dumped it off to Karoma, but he's like, you know what? I'm going to challenge the shot blocker here. And certainly it wouldn't hurt to get him a couple fouls too, right?
Well, they haven't been able to get the bigs into foul trouble yet. I mean, that's only the first foul for Brad Greene. Velp with nothing.
So a lot of times, you know, a team gets really hot. Then halftime happens, and 15 minutes later, they're not where they were. Cal Poly's right there. They forced 2 turnovers in the first 2 possessions. They're converting on the other end. All of a sudden, it's a 5-point game.
You know, it isn't as flashy as it was last game, you know, for Cal Poly. They're not hitting all of those 3-pointers. They're still shooting at a pretty good clip. It's 40%, 6 of 15 from downtown, just 35% from the field overall, though 12 of 34. Like you said, they're still in it. Colin Velp misses there. A foul on the floor, and it's going to stay with UC Irvine.
Coach John Smith appreciates the effort. Yeah, disappointed that they didn't get it, but clapping his teammates on, saying, look, his team on, you know, you can't fault effort. Look at Caroma, number 15. Goes up and gets the rebound. They called a foul on the floor. Who was the foul on?
It was on Till.
Okay, so it was Till underneath as he was trying to block out. You got to applaud your team for making the effort to rebound.
Brad Greene just so hard to stop inside once he gets that position.
That's just it. Once he gets that position, it's so hard to prevent him from getting that position. He's a big, strong load. He's a wide body. There's nobody on Cal Poly's roster that comes anywhere close to the build and strength of Brad Greene.
Well, his man in that situation was Caroma, and he had to at least think about helping on Colin Velp. I mean, that dynamic duo of Velp and Greene is just so deadly for UC Irvine.
Two different players, too. Brad Greene's more of a back-to-the-basket guy. Velp's more of a face-up.
Eight-point ball game. Keith Smith picked up his dribble early, working with Caroma. Cal Poly's offense just seems so stagnant compared to last game. Till inside, gets blocked by Greene. I mean, that kind of says it all right there. I mean, if you look stagnant, it's probably because you're scared to get inside and get blocked by Brad Greene. Caroma, 4-3. Little long there. Greene, dominant inside.
Making plays on the defensive end, making plays on the offensive end. He's a complete player.
This year on the All Big West second team. Was an honorable mention last year. Of course, the best defensive player in the Big West Conference, and he shows more defense there.
UC Irvine's got 4 substitutions coming in.
Jerron Artest floater. Back iron. Cal Poly energy-wise, not as up-tempo. The pace is pretty slow for them compared to last game, but still, they're very much in it, only down 10.
They are. You got to remember, too, their 2 leading scorers are sophomores. This is a young group that's going to be together for a while. You can see this program really building under John Smith.
Caroma getting good shots. I don't see Coach John Smith hanging his head with each shot that Caroma takes from beyond the arc. He wants them. Travel violation going the other way for Cal Poly, getting some rest. UC Irvine brought 4 substitutions into the ball game.
Still leading his team from the bench. You see that? Big men have big voices.
And those type of voices are really what has led this UC Irvine program to the stature and the status they have now in the Big West Conference.
I'll tell you, I like this freshman, just made that jumper, Brantley Stevenson.
Yeah.
No fear, just plays ball, energy. I think he could be potentially a great 2-way player, offensively and defensively, when it's all said and done.
From Eddie Wanda High School, guarding Davis there.
I called his last game of his high school career.
Did you know?
I did. Cameron Pierce both playing for Etiwanda, and lost a heartbreaker on a buzzer beater.
He was an all-area second teamer in high school. As Yakala hands it off to Kobe Rogers. This is Stevenson for 3. Short, did hit rim. So we get a reset of the shot clock. Crow for 3. No good. Cal Poly now only 6 of 19 from beyond the arc. On the other side, UC Irvine really just playing within themselves, so to speak. They've only shot 8 threes, but they've made 4 of them. From the field in general, 44%. This is Dean Keeler, new entry for the Anteaters. Couldn't get that little bunny to go.
Look good, though. The young sophomore.
Hand off to Stevenson. 2-man game with Yakala, and Stevenson gets a call. Foul called on DJ Davis.
Oh, it is interesting to note. I mentioned Cameron Pierce a little bit ago. He's been a contributor for Cal Poly, freshman. Both him and Brantley Stevens playing for Etiwanda and Rancho Cucamonga, California. But he rolled his ankle, Cameron Pierce, versus UC Santa Barbara. Has not played yet in this tournament, I don't believe.
Maybe one of the pieces that sorely miss in this one. It's one less body out there as Mark Crow fouls to the floor. I think they're going to call the foul. Oh, it looks like it's going the other way. It's an offensive foul there.
Oh, we might have to run that back to check it out. You know, Mark Crow was trying to D it up down inside. Look at number 5. He's trying to D it up on the big fella, number 31, Keeler. Oh, see, I see it. Yeah, Keeler's got his left arm draped over top of Crow.
Really just battling for position there. Cal Poly still only down by 8 here. Yakala gets that and one.
I think we saw that on Tuesday as well. Yakala catches the ball. He caught it high. He caught it like almost at chin level, and he keeps it high. Caught it, he caught it well above his head. What was I talking about? And he kept it high. You know, you always teach big men when they get a rebound, it's so easy for big men to want to, even anybody, take the ball, bring it back down, and then go up. He just catches it high and releases high. That's extremely impressive and hard to do. Takes a lot of coaching.
Almost injected another fuel of energy into the Cal Poly bench. Up off their seats and onto their feet. Encouraging him to hit that free throw, but he couldn't, so he couldn't complete the 3-point play opportunity. And guess what? Right after the big man makes a shot on UC Irvine's inside defense, back in comes Colin Velp and Brad Greene. Hawaii.com.
I think a lot of people would be surprised that Cal Poly is in this contest right now. They were down 22 points at about the 7:20 mark in the first half. Each of these teams have gone on a 13-0 run at one point in time. Just imagine, though, if Cal Poly had been shooting, if they're shooting the ball a little better. They're 14 of 42, they're 33%. What if they're just shooting 40%? It'd be a tie game, probably.
That free throw from Brad Greene, by the way, breaks a scoring drought of 355 from UC Irvine.
Much needed from the Anteaters.
This is Yakala at the top of the key. Foul down inside as Karoma and Velp were battling for position. And Velp gets called for the foul. That's his first. 10 team fouls overall for the Anteaters, but none of them really in foul trouble, especially the bigs. Of course, so many UC Irvine players have been playing in this game, so I guess you could say among the 10 fouls, a lot to go around. Greene gets called for his second foul, and there's Karoma to the line for 2.
You know, both these teams really taking really good care of the basketball. You know, UC Irvine has 7 turnovers, only 5 for Cal Poly, and turnovers really for UC Irvine has kind of been their primary weakness this season. More turnovers than assists, and you can attribute that really to the youth of the team, the lack of experience that gets better with age for the most part. Well, they've done a fair job in tonight's game.
Turnovers per game, one of the few stats that they are outside of the top 5 in the conference. a turnover there.
It's great deflection. Mark Crow.
Look at the energy with the ball being moved around by Cal Poly now.
I mean, they can cut this to a one-possession game.
Crow stuck with it, but gets it to Yakla. Against Brad Greene, and gets fouled.
Oh, wow. That's 3 now on Brad Greene.
All of a sudden, by the way.
Right. You know, I like what Cal Poly's doing. They're trying to pump it inside. They're not afraid to go up against the best defensive player in the league. Again, cut to a 3-point game.
You know what? Officially on the scorecard, it looks like it was called on Butler instead of Greene. Not sure if they'll correct it or if that was the right call. So right now, that'll keep Greene at 2 personal fouls.
We got to give a lot of props to the Mustangs. The rebound battle is dead even. 25-25. This UC Irvine team, like I said, I mean, they lead the Big West in rebounds per game. They're second best in rebound margin. They've out-rebounded all but 6 of their opponents this season out of 24 games. Yet, the rebound battle is deadlocked.
Well, an 8.2 rebounding margin is also good for 14th in the entire nation.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
So even though that Cal Poly has only been shooting 33%, I guess rebounds and another turnover by UC Irvine have kept them in it.
Yeah, I mean, they've made 6 threes, but they've taken 19, Cal Poly. I mean, they're making runs. Second chance points, they've about doubled up on UC Irvine on those. Of course, they're missing more shots. That's why they're getting those rebounds.
This is Karoma. I mean, you know Brad Greene affected that shot, but Karoma feels like he should have made it. No field goals for UCI in the last 5.5 minutes. Can Colin Velp change that? Passes it off to Greene. The 2-man game. Short.
You look on the floor for UC Irvine. 2 freshmen, a sophomore. And then their 2 best players, junior, senior. That's another block. Brad Greene.
I mean, Karoma wants the ball down low, but it's so tough against the best defensive player in the Big West. Colin Velp, no good again. Another shot for Cal Poly to bring it to within 1 possession.
I mean, did anybody expect them to be in this game after that 22-point lead? I mean, there's been 20 combined points scored in the first 10 minutes here of the second half. It's been low scoring.
There's Keith Smith. So now they're down only 3. The number 10 seed against the number 2 seed here in the quarterfinals of the Big West Championships.
Great pass.
Artest, no good. Rebound goes out of bounds, but it stays with UC Irvine. And for more on Cal Poly, just believing in themselves, keeping it in the game, we go to Courtney Sweet.
Yeah, Richie, you said, did anybody believe this? Cal Poly did. In their post-game press conference after they defeated Cal State Fullerton the other night, Keith Smith and Colby Rogers said, look, we've got a chip on our shoulder. Nobody expects us to win, and we've got nothing to lose at this point. We came into the tourney with our record 0-0 on our head, and we just went out and played our hardest. So the difference against Fullerton was they pushed through, stayed positive, and they didn't get down. They had a 17-3 opening run against the Titans, and they said, look, that speaks for itself in the way that we want to play. The win shows us that nothing is impossible. We can do it. We can make a run. And I think we're seeing that belief here tonight. Even that shot by Dawson Baker, I don't think that's going to deter them, guys.
You know what, Courtney, and I want to add to that. Thank you so much. We're going to get hit, but we got to hit bigger. That's what Keith Smith said as well in the post-game press conference.
Great
here he is with the ball.
offensive.
Illegal screen. That'll bring us to a timeout on the floor. It didn't happen last year. So this is an unused court that would have been in the NCAA tournament last year.
Not bad. Fresh, brand new court, unused. And not only that, it was just a blank piece of wood last week until they painted the lines down.
Just incredible work by new regime and Big West Conference, headed by Dan Butterly, the new commissioner.
I think Dan Butterly's done an excellent job of just bringing fresh ideas in, injecting some new energy. And it seems that coaches around the league have appreciated his efforts thus far.
Being in Mandalay Bay has been a positive experience so far this year. As Rogers rises, fires, doesn't get that one to go, but gets a foul call. Cal Poly has been hanging around, partly thanks to UC Irvine being 1 for the last 7, as I mentioned before the break.
Yeah, UC Irvine's got to find a way to get some buckets. I mean, they got off to a hot start early on. They were up 31-9. Keep that in mind. They were up 31-9 with 7 minutes to go still at the end of the first half. Am I reading that right?
You're right.
That's incredible. They've scored 14 points since the 7:20 mark of the first half.
Remember, they were on a 16-2 run at one point.
So you're telling me in the last 20 minutes they've only scored 14 points? Is that right?
Yep. Had a scoring drought of over 5 minutes.
Cal Poly's locking down.
But is it a scoring drought or really, like you said, just good defense from Cal Poly? Solid defense there by Karoma. Foul called on Tilda.
You know, we talk a lot about how Cal Poly was the first 10 seed since 1994 to win a game in the conference tournament. Well, that 10 seed back in 1994 was actually UC Irvine.
Right.
They made it all the way to the finals, ultimately losing to New Mexico State 70-64.
UC Irvine trying to prevent that. And Austin Johnson helping.
Much needed for the Anteaters. Austin Johnson, all energy, tremendous athlete, great pass. And it's just really, I mean, Austin Johnson gets all the love and everything else, but Isaiah Lee set that up. And you can't, as a big man, it's extraordinarily difficult to be involved in the offense outside of maybe getting some offensive boards if you don't have perimeter players that can set you up.
Isaiah Lee, by the way, leading the team in plus-minus right now with 16. He's been extremely efficient. 3 of 3 from the field, 1 of 1 from beyond the arc. Foul on the drive. That's going to be on our test.
Cal Poly, you know, they didn't have any free throw attempts, remember, at the half. Now they're 6 of 8. They've gotten 8 free throws here. First 13, 14 minutes.
That's our test's 3rd. So he's the closest one to being in foul trouble now. What a difference from a game ago for Colby Rogers, though. Like we mentioned, a career high matched with 21 points and 7 of 13 from the field, 3 of 5 from beyond the arc. But in this game, 10 points. The biggest difference, 2 of 10 from the field.
This is dynamic. You know, Cal Poly, towards the end of the regular season, it was clear that they were losing games, but they were losing some very, very close games. And then to win that first round and to be in this game here in the quarterfinals really shows you the growth and how this team is peaking at the right time under John Smith. Now, they've had their fair share of COVID interruptions. They've also had their fair share of players getting injured and even had their leading scorer transfer out 2 weeks before the school year started in August. Had to reinvent themselves.
And you know, Coach Smith has mentioned the fact that he's seen this process before. He was with Dietrich Taylor at Cal State Fullerton, and he's seen that fact that a program can be pretty much 1-15 in the conference and then head to the NCAA tournament a couple of years later.
Yeah, they built that thing. That was impressive how they pulled that off a few years ago, a couple years ago.
Velp on the inside, getting position on Till, and Till has to foul him. That's Till's 4th personal foul.
You know, the very first thing I said at the beginning of this game was that the biggest difference between these two teams was the size, and I thought that would give Cal Poly a lot of problems. Well, UC Irvine has a few more points in the paint, and they got a few more rebounds, but it's nothing drastic. It's actually been remarkable how Cal Poly has banged with the bigs. They've done a great job of taking away some of the strengths that UC Irvine has.
Well, Richie, let me bring this up. The man at the line, Colin Velp, is only 3 of 11 from the field. Velp has been averaging 50% from the field all year. And he's under his points per game average, too.
Well, you got to credit the defense a little bit. I mean, Cal Poly's scrapping. They're playing hard. They're winning some of these 50-50 ball battles. It's hard to beat a team 3 times. UC Irvine swept them in the regular season.
Karoma, turnaround, blocked. Got another shot at it. Good fight for the rebound by Kobe Sanders.
Oh, great shot fake.
Ball on the floor. Sanders picks it up. Karoma with a shot at it. Gets blocked again.
2 blocks in 1 possession by the Defensive Player of the Year.
How about Brad Greene now with 5 blocks?
I love it.
I mean, it's no surprise.
I love it. I remember a couple of years ago, Russ Turner told me he'd be their rim protector, and I wasn't sold that he'd be able to do that. You know, he's always had great shot blockers. I didn't think he'd be in that lineage that could be a great shot blocker. Boy, was I wrong.
Colby Rogers has just struggled offensively. Gets the poke away, but it goes out of bounds. Stays with the Anteaters. Let's take a look back at those blocks from Brad Greene, huh?
5 blocks on the game here in the last possession. There's a block shot there. Then he influenced that shot, made it miss. Kind of a loose ball. Cal Poly gets back. I mean, look at it. UC Irvine's all over the floor, diving for loose balls. And a second block by big mean Brad Greene.
Colin Velp all the way to the rim and 1.
Big time players come through in big moments. That's Colin Velp. He's had the target on his back all season long. Everybody knows he's capable of scoring the basketball and doing it in versatile ways. A little ball fake, get to the basket, take the contact, hit the free throw.
UC Irvine, all of a sudden, back up by 8. We were talking about UC Irvine scoring droughts, and they were 1 for their last 7 at one point in this second half. Now Cal Poly has been 1 for their last 7. We know Brad Greene has had something to do with that most recently. Kicked ball. And that'll bring us to a timeout. Well, UC Irvine leading 52-44.
You know, at the same time, Cal Poly is showing that here at the end of the season, they are peaking in the right moments. That they're competing. Despite their record, despite their seeding, they are competing, man. And they're doing it fairly shorthanded.
And it's all about who's hot at the end of the season, right? Especially in the postseason. And we've seen this from this program before. Remember in 2014, they were the 7th seed, ended up winning it all.
That was a phenomenal series.
Yeah.
I mean, it was crazy. That Cal Poly team in 2014 did not look like a 7 seed with a losing record. I mean, they were playing so pristine, making great decisions, knocking down critical shots, lock-up defense. I think they upset UC Irvine. I think they beat CSUN in the championship game. And that CSUN team was uber talented.
Rogers missing the free throw there. Cal Poly, 8 of 11 from the free throw line. Right behind UC Irvine, 10 of 13. I mean, you look down the stat sheet, pretty much even other than field goal and three-point percentage. Like we were talking about earlier, Cal Poly still only 2 rebounds behind UC Irvine, which is maybe the most shocking part since UC Irvine is 14th in the nation in rebounding margin.
I agree. I mean, it's really, the game comes down to making shots. And can you defend your opponent as best you can from making shots? But Cal Poly's just not making them at a high clip today.
Another good rebound, and that's Keith Smith bringing it back himself. Brantley Stevenson, this would be a big 3. Gets it!
Don't like to see 1 or 2 of these UC Irvine players with their head down as they come down the court. Got to stay up. Still have a lead here. Finish strong. Young groups got to know how to finish in the conference tournament.
They don't look like a team that has had the lead for basically the entire game.
Cal Poly won't go away.
Greene gets that second chance and gets a foul call. I mean, you talk about Cal Poly and their just grit and scrappiness on the floor. I mean, is that taking some energy away from UC Irvine? Is that just wearing them down?
I would say so. You know, but when John Smith was at Cal State Fullerton as the associate head coach, him and Dietrich Taylor were great together. And there were times their teams would get down, and it was just like this. They would scrap. They wouldn't go away. They were pests, and they wouldn't quit. And you're seeing that with this Mustang squad. Now, UC Irvine's most experienced players are guys that don't handle the ball a whole lot. Talked a lot about it. It's Greene at the line and Velp. And, you know, there's a big gap. If you look at their roster, they got, what, 1 junior, Colin Velp, 1 senior. You know, future years, this young group is going to grow together, and they may only have 1 senior on the roster a season from now.
You mentioned the guards, though, and you look at UC Irvine. In past years, at least recently, they've always had strong guards and veteran guards as well. So this year's so different, and that's why you can see the youth coming out of UC Irvine at times. There's a good steal, though, by DJ Davis.
Youth getting a steal, though, too, on the defensive end. All right, you're in control, UC Irvine. Clock is your friend. You still got to continue attacking. Get organized here.
Davis behind the back pass, just working it around. Greene to Velp, but Cal Poly was all over that, and Mark Crow.
Keep giving opportunities to the Mustangs. It's 12 turnovers now for the Anteaters.
Timeout called by Coach John Smith, and
converted 8 points off those 12 turnovers. That's hurt them, and shooting 32% from the game. Just again, but imagine if they were shooting 40%. This would be a tie game, or they'd have the lead.
And we just saw them a game ago shoot well over that.
56% on Tuesday.
Well over 60% from 3 at times, too. Here's Karomo for 3. No good there.
Looked good, too. That looked really, really good. Again, UC Irvine, clock is on your side. They want a timeout. They got their stop. I like that. Young group here. Russ Turner instructed his play inside Brad Greene. Maybe you get Colin Velp going about 15 feet away from the basket. Face up. He can take it to the basket. He can knock down that shot. But you got a lot of shot clock here you want to burn off before you get to that point.
This is DJ Davis at the top of the key. Another one of their young guards. Just looking for Colin Velp.
They're trying to pump it in. Look, they're trying to look at Greene. They're trying to look at Velp.
Riley Till is preventing it until now.
There's the face-up we're talking about 15 feet out.
Blocked. Karoma had an arm on it.
Push it if you're Cal Poly.
And there's the timeout. That's the last timeout for Cal Poly.
So 3 is the other night.
Well, they've had close performances and close games this year during the regular season. They had an overtime loss by 2 points to UC Davis. And they had a win, 73-71, over San Jose State in the Mountain West Conference. Now we're in the tournament. And it's Keith Smith, the senior. Gets it deflected. Crow launches from 3, and it's well off.
Well contested by Colin Velt.
Pressure defense from Cal Poly, and a timeout called by Coach Russ Turner. Again, talking about the youth of UC Irvine, Russell, especially with all of those young guards, and he's kind of pointing out a guy that he probably wants to develop into his star guard later on, right?
I agree, yes, absolutely.
Baker fell down for a little bit. Got back up. It was deflected out of bounds.
They're going to have to look at the monitor because there's no call.
Well, the point goes towards Cal Poly with 14 points. 5 of 19 shooting, though. He struggled from the field. Also, Kobe Rogers, he has 12 points, but he's 2 of 11 from the field. Who's going to take this one?
Official said exactly what you thought. Inconclusive. Call was Cal Poly's.
Smith, no good with the lay-in. And a foul called right off the rebound.
Got to play the foul game now. Win the game on free throws if you're UC Irvine.
Well, UC Irvine, actually 75% from the free throw line, and that's good for second in the conference on the year. That's just as a team. The guy going to the line right now is Colin Velt, and he's 82% from the charity stripe.
People don't know. You can get so many points on free throws per game. A lot of young players don't understand that. You could get 5 to 10 points a game. Imagine taking your 10 points a game up to 17 points a game because you're getting free throws.
Well, there's a free throw miss and a rare one from Velt. Big free throw here and a big box out for Cal Poly. Should he miss? But he doesn't. Cal Poly trying to melt the clock, or save the clock, I should say. UC Irvine will try to melt the clock the next time down.
I'm a big fan of dribble handoffs for three-point shots in these cases.
Well, there's a three-pointer from Rogers, but it's short. Velt secures the rebound. May have secured the win for UC Irvine.
They used all their great shooting in the night from 2 nights ago. I mean, look, Cal Poly's coaching staff has gotten Cal Poly's players a lot of great looks for three-point shots, shots around the basket. Players have to perform, coaches have to coach. And tonight just wasn't the night for the Mustangs to knock down good looks.
But you know what? I feel like Cal Poly has proven themselves in this tournament, not just to us, but to the program.
I would agree with that. I would agree. Yeah, and UC Irvine, I mean, I think they've really escaped here. And of course, the game's not over. There's 30 seconds left. But if they come out here victorious, they've really escaped because Cal Poly has played really well. They just didn't knock down those shots. 3 here, 3 there. This could be a different game here in the last few seconds.
This would be a big 3 for Keith Smith. No good. Jerron Artest with the rebound, and he gets fouled.
I know. I think it's just getting more and more out of reach. But this is they come out here with a win. You know, get that bad game out of the way, and then move on to the semifinals. And they'll play the winner of the next game, UC Riverside and Hawaii.
This would be the 9th straight year that UC Irvine, should they hold on with 21.5 seconds left, will reach the semifinals of a Big West tournament. Jerron Artest, that was his 4th point on the night so far. Get another free throw. He's only 1 for 4, but he's been on the floor for 21 minutes, providing defensive help for UC Irvine today. Here's Karoma for three. There's one for Ali Karoma. 3 of 9 on the night. Foul called. It'll be Lee going to the free throw line.
Seal the game at the free throw line. Well, if they can get a tie up, possession arrow goes to Cal Poly. And they're leaving the door open. You see Irvine not making a ton of free throws here down the stretch. There they are.
You see Irvine women's had a 92-90 thriller yesterday.
Wasn't that something? Their opponent hit 18 three-pointers. You see Santa Barbara women's. Got to make it.
Well short. There's Brad Greene. And UC Irvine. 5-game win streak right now on the year, and that's the biggest they've had all